Yeah, dear students, I've started with themes from the famous play Arms and the Man by G.B. Shaw. I have already taken up Ignorance versus Knowledge and the realities of war. Now I'll be taking up the next theme, the realities of love, by in the as the theme in the play. Love, we know, has always been romanticized by poets and writers in all the ages. But G.V. Shaw, because he's a very, witty and a very realistic writer, he takes up the theme of love in a very modern way. He brings up the discrepancy between, again, the appearances and the reality. Love appears to be a very ideal emotion, but the reality of love is something else. It cannot be romanticized, right? Because life itself, it is something that takes the veneers out of the away from the love, right? So we find in the very beginning of the play Reina and Sergius, two characters who are delusional about love, right? They have very romantic notions of love, and that is why they have got engaged, right? They just like war, they had the same ideas about love. So they derive their understanding of love primarily from a very romantic angle, right? And from Byronic poetry. So they both been reading Byron. Then they celebrate each other with formal and pretentious declarations of higher love. So, what is this higher love? Again, the notion of higher love is a very idealistic picture of love, right? And although they greet each other in that way, they talk to each other in that elevated way, right? But are they comfortable? No. They feel discomfortable. They feel discomfort, they feel uncomfortable in each other's presence. Right? Reina is, although she feels very proud of Sergius when she hears about his victory, but that doesn't mean that she is in love with him, right? Feels rather a little bit, she feels a little irritated, which she doesn't show it, right? And she acts as a very, elevated, very, superior lady in front of Sergius, right? So we find a kind of very formal way in their way of, professing love for each other, right? So couple, because they have, both of them are good looking, both of them belong to noble families, and both of them have idealistic outlook. They seem to be outwardly, they seem to be a perfect match for each other. But GB Shaw, he will always dispel any such notions which seem to put things in a perspectives of fairy tales, right? So GB Shaw's world, love, it is not like it is in fairy tales. Everything is so goody goody and everything is so perfect. No. So Reina, she actually is much more impressed by the very realistic and very down to earth and very human appearance of this soldier who has entered in her bedroom to save his life, that is Captain Blunchley, as he turns out to be. So falls Raina is more in love for that practical and competent Swiss soldier, the mercenary, a man who works for money, right? And Sergius, we find him falling in love with a girl who is a maid, right? But she is not only she is clever, intelligent, but she is also very practical, right? She is very pragmatic. The word used for her is pragmatic. So we find in the play G.B. Shaw presenting the notion that love does not always adhere to conventions, right? Regarding class or nationality. Because Sergius and Reina belong to same class, they should get married. They should fall in love. It's not so. Moreover, love is not just a kind of idea, abstract expression, which can figure in poetry, which can figure in poetic purity. It is a throbbing, a, a realistic notion full of life, right? Uh, so, love we find in the play, it is ultimately it is seasoned with an understanding of the characters, and it is grounded in reality. We find all the characters acting in a very realistic manner towards the end of the play. By Sergius, he finds courage, right, to admit his love for Luca, and we find Blunchley also, proposing Raina. So the realities of love, the love, it is brought out of its idealized version, and it is brought to the uh, that realistic frame. That is one of the themes of the play. Thank you so much.